So how should we start? How can I help? You had a question? It's gone or is there? Is there? Okay. You take the mic.
I already asked.
This I can't hear. This is not connected? Oh, okay. Let's try.
I don't know how to frame it.
Yeah.
So, I noticed something that when I'm going to sleep, before going to sleep, when the sleep state comes and takes me over, I see that there is all the identity just vanishes.
Vanish.
There's nothing I can take with me to sleep. How much ever my mind has been,
Yes. Not just that, you wanted to go. In the sense that if it wasn't going and you were still involved with things of the world, you would really want to go to sleep and say, forget all this, I want to sleep.
Yes.
Isn't it?
Yes.
So not only is it going, but it's going with our full expectation that it must go. Because if it doesn't go, like Papaji said, you could be on your wedding night in the arms of your beloved. You see? But when sleep comes, you just have to go to sleep, then nothing else matters. You see? Because there comes a point where we are done with this play of Maya, we're done with this identification, we're done with this personhood, and we need to rest, rejuvenate ourselves. And to do that, we need to vanish to the identity, to the waking state with all its appearances, and then go to that which is the pure light which is unperceivable. You see, then therefore, because it is unperceivable, it can seem like a nothing. You see? So that nothing, being the purest light, is where we retreat to every night, hopefully, if we get good sleep or if we get sleep.
Father, I noticed something that if I don't just go to bed and go to sleep, I observe that sleep. Whatever, like you say, Father, Maya just, it is so overwhelming that we just get carried away. And I feel that whatever pointings are there, it all coming true that time, that all this Maya, it just goes away. It's not real. All the learning comes true that time, I feel, Father.
So the whole point of spirituality, the whole point of satsang is to recognize in the waking state what we already know in the sleep state. We said this often, that we come to satsang so that which we know while asleep, that we recognize while being awake. So when I ask you, what do you recognize, what do you know when you know nothing, it is an invitation to that we remain empty in our heads. We are not identified with any ignorance, any avidya, and we come to a pure recognition of that eternal light, the light of pure awareness. So we can't do that. Can I not be almost asleep all the time? And then that would be freedom thoughts. It won't, because the mind will pull you into some topic. You see? So you may say, okay, I'm going to just, unless you're medicating or something like that, you see? So you feel like, I'm just going to be almost asleep, so to that point where I've lost the identity. You see, sometimes when we are really tired also, we couldn't be bothered with the identity. You see? You played a lot of sports growing up or something. You had days of very hard work. There comes a point after which you are not bothered about anything. You see? So in the same way, if our expectation is that let's just be like in that barely awake state, you see, it's not going to happen, because the mind job is to try and give you something which gets your attention, gets your identification. So it will give you something there where you are trying to be empty of that, you see, by just being sleepy, but it will wake you up with something. Oh, I didn't notice, but 3 days back, how did he talk to me? How dare he say that? You know? And then you spend your whole day thinking about that useless topic, which has no meaning for anything. You see? So the mind job is to give you topics so that you are constantly distracted away from this blazing presence in your heart, the Atma within. So to keep you distracted from that Atma within, which is actually so naturally apparent when you turn inwards. You see? You see? So that is the job. So the only way out of it is to come to his refuge, his Sharan. See, you must come to the refuge of the Atma within, of his presence within. So to come to God's refuge is the only way out of this. Other empirical, mechanical, medicinal, things don't work. Can't work. Maybe for a day, something feels so nice, then the mind finds a way. It finds a way to pull you in, even in those situations. See? So how to come into the refuge of God so that we can forever be in His presence, and therefore the truth of who we are, the everlasting pure awareness, the eternal pure awareness being our reality. That is the question. You see? And the answer you know, because I repeat it every satsang. You see? Try to be empty all the time, or try to be praying all the time. Both are not distinct, but they seem distinct as paths. Try to inquire all the time into the nature of who you really are, or try to surrender yourself through your prayer, through your chanting, through your devotion, all the time. Spirituality is not a part-time project, you see? But it doesn't mean you have to give up your job, that you have to give up your family. That is not the renunciation that is needed. The renunciation that is needed is from mental topics. Don't be attached to any topic. If you have to be attached to some topic, then make that God. Maybe that is the simplest way to describe spirituality. Don't be attached to any topic at all, but if you must, then make it God. So what are the topics we are attached to? Can we sacrifice them today in the fire of today's satsang? What are the topics? Huh? Self-worth, self-esteem. Okay, so leave that, surrender that to God. What else? See, at least your intention to fully surrender it activates the surrender. You see, if you immediately say, oh, easier said than done, I've been trying for years, it doesn't go, then you're not being full-hearted about it. It needs the innocence of a child. You see, it needs the innocence of a child who can just follow. So you're hearing from a credible source that you have to jump. You see, if you have the innocence to jump, without knowing how to jump, where to jump, how it will happen, will my feet get dirty, what will happen to me, will I fall, you see, all of that. So have your full-hearted intention to let go of your attachments to your topics of attachment. You see? Then you're throwing away this photo album section by section instead of photo by photo. You see? Otherwise, you look at every thought, you say, who is attached to this? You see, it's a process, it's a beautiful process. But instead of that, just throw the topic. You see? So, what are the topics you are attached to? Huh? Justice. You see? And that which is already happening, for us to think about that, you see, or how it is not happening, or how it can happen better, all of that would be what? You see, suppose somebody is sitting here in this room saying, I am thinking about how to make the world go round. The world is already going round. What are you going to do to it? So you're thinking, okay, can I push a little bit more so it goes a bit faster or in the direction that I want? What would you call such a one? Call them foolish, no? So, to presume that God's justice is not playing out every single instant, in every breath, in every heartbeat, you see, is our foolishness. Because we have an idea of what it should be, and that idea of what it should be prevents us from being in servitude to His will. We think that we know what would be better than what is. You see? So, in our thoughts of justice, we are already resisting what is, isn't it? We are not, I'm presuming you're not saying you're sitting and marveling how good is God's justice. Wow, how wonderful is God's justice. You're not doing that. Yes. That would be fine. So I'm presuming you're saying how unjust is life, how is it so unfair, you see, why do these things happen? All this kind of thing is a resistance to God's will and God's justice. So to put it simply, I always tell some of you that don't worry, God is doing hisab of everything. Now that hisab doesn't mean that he's sitting one day and he's going to chop the heads off or whatever. It may be that, we don't know. But we have to trust even the way he decides to deal with that, isn't it? Like we cannot superimpose our limiting human notions of what is right and what is wrong into the master of a zillion universes. Like we try to tell him, oh, but this doesn't seem fair to me. Who are you? You see? If that little plant started speaking suddenly and said, I don't feel, Ananta, what you're saying is very right. I don't feel like it's very just. See, keep quiet and listen. You see? And we are nothing, not even a grain of sand for a grain of sand in front of God. So who are we to say what is justice? So please drop this topic. It is most useless. Yes, good. I hope I've squeezed it out of you. And if you all agree to do this, you will see that your grievances have all gone. You see? Who do you have your grievance with? You think it's from a fellow brother and sister, but you think anything happens without his will? It doesn't happen without his will. So trust his will. He knows when to use the carrot, when to use the stick. He knows exactly what is needed, when to nudge, when to push, when to slap, when to love. He knows very well. So we don't have to waste our time thinking about this, away from loving God, away from enjoying His presence and delighting in the fact that He can rest within ourselves. So this is a very favorite mind distraction for all of you. You see, how can I hold a grievance? How can I understand why life is so unfair, why my brothers and sisters are so unfair, why my master is so unfair, you see, why everything is so unfair? Because we presume stupidity at all levels except ourselves. You see, when we have a grievance, you see, we are presuming our master is stupid, our Sangha is stupid, God is stupid, we are presuming everyone is stupid except for us. You see? Isn't it? That's how we can complain, isn't it? You see, we only know. He should not have done this. He should have done that. He doesn't know what he's doing. You see? And when we are talking like that about God, You see, the wise ones who are matured in spirituality should stay away from this. Because to hold a grievance against God is the worst kind of foolishness.
How to stay away?
Huh?
How to stay away if somebody near to us is speaking on the topic?
Yes.
And I know that it is not about nothing can be said.
Yes.
It's all these things
Yes.
happening.
Yeah.
But no, this should not be happening.
Yeah.
Sitting by the side of me, somebody is continuously
Yeah.
speaking like that.
Yeah. How to stay
And I
away.
keep thinking, no, everything is okay. Or you have to accept something like that. Then I come to a point where it triggers me and
Yeah.
I raise my temperature.
Yes. Yes.
Stage.
Yes.
So,
So how to stay away is like that. Next question. No, so like that would be, for example, if that doesn't happen, then recognize that it is burning something in you. You see, something someone is saying, something someone is doing is agitating you, all of that. So that is your sadhana. You see, so take it as a gift from God to point you. Otherwise, if these things would not happen, we all think that we are very accomplished in our spirituality. You know, we are always empty. We can let go of all things. You see, so this when these things happen, then we let go of our pride, we let go of our complacency, and we truly learn how to turn to God. So suppose you are in the most oppressive environment, you see, where everyone is constantly oppressing you in some way or the other, then you have no means to turn, nowhere to turn except to turn within, isn't it? So can we turn within even when we have to play the roles of the world? Is it? Can we? Yes, we can. Is it? So use your japa, and don't leave that. You see, even when you're engaging in a conversation, inwardly be in your Ram Ram. So, and when you get pulled out, then notice that you fell for it again and return. You see? So, and this is a lifetime project, but the lifetime project is worth it. You see, because every time you switch over, you turn to God, you don't fall for the temptation, you see, of Maya. Now, whatever it may be, it is Maya, isn't it? If it's in the realm of perception, it is Maya. So, suppose right now you fall for it 5 times out of 10. If you make that 4 times out of 10, you've done better. One more time you turn to God. If you make that 3, if you make that 2, if you make that 1, step by step. You see? But the idea is to be 100% with God. You will fail. All of us will fail. I fail every day. You see? Every day I fail. So, but then I want to do better. I want to learn. You see? One very, very drastic thing I heard, maybe I'll say it a different way because it was too drastic, from one of Hanuman Prasad Poddarji's Satsang. He said that the true spiritual seeker is one who, if they miss one opportunity to chant the name of God or to remember His name in our heart, then they get so upset, like something drastic has happened. I can't bring myself to say it because it's scary sounding, even for me. So presume like it's the worst thing, and then we return to that, saying that I had a chance to be with God, but instead I got involved with the Maya of the world. It is compelling, no? Sometimes when you're getting free from Maya, then these situations happen more. Because Maya starts playing that way. What can I send there so that they can get involved with me again? See? I've noticed with all of you children also. 2-3 days you are happy, peaceful. Oh, God is so great. God is so amazing. God. Then 4th day, something will happen. See? Something you will do. Isn't it? Have you noticed this pattern? I notice it in all of you actually. Where you're really deepening, you're really following, you're really getting the perfume of His presence, and then Maya sends one trump card, you see. What about this? And then what about this? That topic seems so relevant, so important. You see, and what happens? This the one that was there last 3-4 days gone. This new one who's upset and angry and something. You see? You see? And all of you may think that Father is speaking about me. And that's how pervasive this is. You see? Because And 3-4 days if I'm lucky. See? 3-4 days is if I'm lucky, and if you're lucky. It's like, see, so this is how Maya plays. So the wisdom now for all of you is time to become wiser is to notice this. You see, is to notice, okay, now for 3-4 days I was fine, just empty, enjoying his presence, learning about him, deepening in his light. See? And today it has offered me this topic and it seems to be so true and so important. You see, but it's not important. Nothing is important enough for us to leave God. You see? But we will fail. All of us will fail, but we have to learn. This is how we will become more and more mature. So can that 3-4 days become 3-4 weeks?
But at that instant, how do we remember this?
This is how like 1 year back, many more things were upsetting you, isn't it? So you may have had that question also. With every turning towards him, he makes you stronger in your spiritual intent. You see? Makes you let go of the false ignorance. Every time you see, let go of the temptation. It's like fasting, no? Initially in fasting, first day, if you see a rasgulla, it seems very tempting. You see, second day it doesn't seem that much. Third day it's okay. Fourth day you don't want to have it because you're reminded of how heavy you will feel. It's just like that. So when you turn once, you deepen. Second time you deepen even more. Third time you deepen even more. But if you fall for this trick, oh, but it just is automatic, I can't do anything about it. You see? Then we are falling for the mind. It is not automatic. It happens, identification happens only with your permission. You see? And to believe that it's automatic, it just happens, is falling for the mind trick, which prevents you from doing anything about it, from turning to God. You see? There would be not a single point to any sage we put up their photos on the walls in all this Kendra, you see, if it was not true that we could do something about it. You see? Otherwise, why are they talking all this? When it's going to happen, it's going to happen. We have to turn towards Him. Because He's right there, His presence is right there in your heart. Before coming to Satsang, I was almost teary-eyed because I felt like, how did He make His presence apparent to such a fool like me? See? I didn't do any spiritual practice properly. See? I was much more immature than any of you. And yet in His grace, in His mercy, He made this happen. Maybe He wanted this instrument to be used in this way. But I'm so grateful. And all of us should be so grateful that the possibility is alive for us. And most of you can attest to His presence within you. Do you realize what a gift that is? He is there within you, the Lord of this universe, and much more. This is not just words. Literally, I'm saying. If a Prime Minister of a country came to the room, then you'd all be, oh, the Prime Minister has come. You see? But I'm telling you, as a more fact than any fact can be, that the Lord of this universe and much more lives within your heart. What other topic can the mind offer you which can be of interest to you now? You see? Because the mind has a way to make this, to diminish or normalize or regularize what I'm saying. See? So that, don't fall for that trick. It is not something normal that I'm telling you. Not something regular that I'm telling you. See? But most of us treat it very normally. It's just like, we started getting tomatoes in that shop next to our house. Maybe we give more value to that information than to the fact that God lives within us. You see? So we feel like, yeah, that's okay, He can wait. But how dare He do that to me? You see? And we don't realize the extent of the error we are making. Does anyone have a doubt about the fact that He, the Lord of the universe, lives within yourself? Capital S, self. Anyone have a doubt? You see, because if you have a doubt about it, work on that doubt, go deeply within, explore for yourself, and His light will show you that this is true, and then your true spirituality will begin. You see? Because if you doubt His very existence and His very gift to us, which is to make Himself apparent within ourselves, then we haven't started our spiritual journey yet. You see? So the beginning of spirituality is to have faith about this fact, that He is real and He can be found when I turn within myself. And only in His refuge, only in His light, can we come to a true self-realization and remain without any pride for any spiritual experiences we may have or not have. So, to remain empty of the me and to remain fully in love with Him, for love's sake, for His sake, is the way to Him. So don't disturb yourself with any other topic but Him. And He's not a disturbing topic. What are the topics you enjoy? They're like channels on the TV. Just cut off the cable connection or fire stick or whatever we have. Not to your TV, to your head. Favorite topic, everyone, let's go one by one quickly. Favorite topic, relationship. Sir, favorite topic? Sir, what's your favorite topic that you think about? Okay, you're thinking, okay, we'll come back to you. Okay. How to remain in awareness. Okay, now we'll come to this, okay? That's a tricky one. Okay, so Nitin told us self-worth. You said justice. Amma said like justice only, like son, like mother. Relationship, justice. Justice in relationship. Okay, yeah. How to find happiness, okay. Something that you would have read. There's no constant topic.
Today it is like I don't want to remember what
Okay, okay. Okay. Jyoti. Yet reasoning about that which is beyond reason. Did I post something from a sage yesterday? Is that you must come to that, you see, where reason does not reach. I'm paraphrasing. Bikesha or someone can remind me what the exact phrase was. We give too much power to our reasoning, too much credence to its ability. We cannot understand one moment of our life. We cannot understand one instant of anything, one tiny object in this universe we have not unraveled, we have not understood its true nature. So don't trust your reasoning, trust your intuition. So this grasping for understanding, you see, is something that it's time for you to leave now.
No, I mean, it's mostly, at least when I come back, I see that you said it's not finished.
You took, see, so till we have enough understanding in our heads, we feel like we are not truly getting it. You see? So that wobbliness, just go through. Just go through till your heart starts speaking to you, and there you will know everything that you need to know. That is the main part of the switchover. One fallacy that we have is that we think that God's presence is silent, it doesn't say anything. You see? But I told a child, and I want to tell all of you, that not one sentence of a spiritual book you can truly understand except for the guidance of the Atma within. If it was not guiding you, you would not get what is being said. You see? And I shared this experience with you that many years back, before I met Guruji, I ordered this book called A Course in Miracles. I opened it and I could not understand it. Then one night, the Spirit, the Atma decided to guide me, and I understood everything it was saying, the book. You see? But maybe I became proud again, so I said, oh, I'm really getting it, this is good. You see? So I closed it. Next morning I opened it again, it was gibberish. I couldn't understand it. And then it took me many months or years to get back into that understanding. So what happened that night? You see? What happened that night? You see? That there was the assistance of something, isn't it? Not an external something. There was the assistance of the Atma within, of the Holy Spirit within. So don't think that you have understood anything spiritual by yourself. All spirituality is only understood with the aid of the Spirit itself. You see, otherwise it just remains a dead spirituality in our heads. You see? So don't fall for that kind of spirituality which is just understanding and remembering. It is not helpful at all. Just come fully into the stewardship of the Atma within. See? That has to become our project. Become a disciple of your Atma. Because your Atma is not quiet as you think, but it has a soft, loving voice, which we don't hear in the crowd of the loud, authoritative head. So as we learn to become empty, as we learn to remain in His presence, then He guides us in such a beautiful way. See? And the one that He is guiding, nothing can stand in their way. Because He can change everything at a finger snap. You see? He is the one. He is God's presence. All of time and space, this whole universe can vanish at the snap of a finger, not even a snap. You see? So that is the one that I'm talking about. And He is guiding you in love. You see, He is guiding you in love for you and teaching you how to love Him. In front of this, no relationship is relevant. No relationship can distract you from this. All relationships can happen in the world. When you're meeting so much love in your heart, you're bound to share that love. But the relationships will not be relationships of desperation and of grasping. They'll be relationships of true love, which is free and freeing. You know? So please understand that it is not that His presence does not speak, and therefore for understanding we have to turn to our heads, but we must learn. We must learn to be empty of false understanding first. Here, I had a teacher in school. Once she found out that some students were taking tuitions in her subject. Then she got very irritated. She said, "I'm not going to teach you. You ask your tuition teacher." So if you have allegiance to two teachers, it doesn't work. And I'm not talking about in a worldly sense. So have allegiance to the Atma within, to God's presence within, and leave all allegiance to the mind. Because the mind will find a way to trick you. Will find a way to trick you. Because his knowledge is very linear. Have you noticed? Have you noticed how the words of a scripture, of a true scripture, or the words of any true satsang, you see how they seem different from the words of like a very academic book or a mental sort of discourse? The very nature is different. You see, the not just the presence of love, which is important, but the nature of the true light, the true guidance, is not linear. It is symphonic. You see, it just builds symphonically, not conceptually. So you will start getting a sense of all of this. Already you have, all of you have, that what is just purely academic and conceptual, and what has the hand of God in it, in the sense of it having come from the guidance of the spirit within. Okay, did we stop the topic or the topics midway? Yeah, we stopped. But I get a sense of it, you know. You want to expose it? Okay, let's go. Relationship.
Or the lack of it.
Lack of relationship, yes. You know what my answer is going to be. Make a relationship with your heart. Topic, work, God's work, God's work. It'll sound like a cliche if I keep going like that, but really there's so much work for us to be done. There's so much work for us to be done, in the sense that there's so much deepening that can happen. The sages have told us about such depth of insight, such depth of love for God, with the humble, quiet work that they put in day after day, in their prayers, in their devotion, in their inquiry. So much of this work is to be done. So take that to be your main work. And keep polishing the mirror every day. Topic? Yeah. Seemed like a long topic. Give her the mic.
Father, what pushes my buttons is things with my in-laws, Father. Really,
That is the design of this relationship.
how do I deal with it, Father?
Like everyone does. That is the human condition.
Father, how can you be with someone who cannot reciprocate your love? Meaning, there is absolutely.
You love them because they would reciprocate. Then it's not love.
But there is that, I don't know what to say.
Okay, keep the in-laws topic aside. We'll tackle that at the end.
Actually, I see one story from Krishna that is
Yeah, take the mic.
about this. So, so he's Krishna. It's when he was a child.
When you join on Zoom when others talk like that, with that mic like
You
that
just
as
feel-
far as possible.
No, but I can hear my own voice, so I speak so loudly anyway. So he was playing with his friends, and they said
Can you all hear?
that they were punished.
No, we can't hear.
Okay, so they said that they were always being punished, and that. So he says, but I've never really been punished. And they said, but when we get
Krishna
punished,
was playing with his friend.
yeah. So the friends say that they've been punished by their parents, and he says, but I've never really been punished yet. So they said, yeah, but when we get punished, we get loved twice over when we make up. So he says, decides that he has to go and get punished. So he does some little naughty things, but he's not punished. And then so then he breaks all the matkas of the makhan. Now she really gets angry. And she takes a stick and she's going to beat him up, but all the gopis come there. But she ties him up to this tree, just to this, whatever it's called. And every time she tries to tie him, that two fingers of rope are less.
Yeah.
So she keeps on and on at it, but it doesn't, and she gets the whole thing. And then now it's been like 5 times over. So she prays to Narayan and says, you please help me because I can't tie it. And I mean, really, I need to punish him now.
Yeah.
So after so then it gets tied. So Lord Shiva and Mother Parvati are sitting and they're laughing and he says, do you know why it's those 2 fingers are always less? So Lord Shiva is telling us, he says the first one is that once the bhakta has to surrender. It's only that much distance. But one finger is that the bhakta has to fully surrender and give up and call the Lord. The second one is from the Lord's side. He will also then fully hear you and come rushing to help you. I just found that really so beautiful. And then she get tied. And then, like you said, it's never a linear story. So now all the gopis feel very bad because they've had him punished. And they're begging her to now forgive him. So they go in and she's returning their milk or whatever. But then those 2 trees which are calling him and he goes there and they fall down. And they were apparently punished or blessed by the sage Narad because they were being very obnoxious. So he says, okay, you're going to become a tree and learn how to serve other people without, anything in return.
So he freed them.
Yeah, so he frees them, but he says, it's just the whole thing is so, yeah.
Very nice. Right?
Just have hearing, you just keep hearing those stories and then you feel so much love.
So we have to have in-laws satsang. Then you have a favorite topic that your mind tempts you with.
We all know that.
The cat,
We all know his topic.
which is
He's talking about it all the time.
So for me, it's I'm not giving a lot of time to worldly things. Work matters and daily matters. So it's shrinking alarmingly.
Yeah.
What I mean to say is,
Yeah.
it used to be okay, but now it's just like, I'm like, where did the day go? That's my worry. I mean, worry is in, how it is. I mean, there's whatever, there seem to be pulls to do this and that, and and always coming from where I was, like luckily nobody's, what I mean to say is nobody's judging me, now because I'm just taking it easy.
Yeah.
But it's just alarmingly shrinking days. So I don't know what to say, what to make of it. I mean, it's even like, just getting out of bed in the morning takes a lot of time. because you get up and then sometimes just you just feel like it's a blazing light here, you're speaking, or there's no body, nothing, right? And that's just you have to start the day. You just feel like, okay, do I really have to get up?
Yeah.
So, and it sounds weird, so weird,
No,
right? But
it's
it's just time is just going away, and I don't know. This is one. If I have to flag something, I have to say that this notion that the river of spirituality and the river of functioning, and even if it's a made up world, but it'll all flow harmoniously is not true for me. It's like almost like actions are falling away, right? So it's just,
It actually sounds good to me, but it's all. Doesn't sound like a problem. No? Yeah.
huh?
Doesn't sound like a problem, he's saying. Yeah, I agree. It's just that.
It's just, I mean, in a lot of circles, it's a big problem.
Yeah. So just.
I go to talk to any
You-
most of the other circles.
Yeah. Now, what to do? You become a square. You won't fit into those circles. What to do? They have to become squares now to fit into you, and some of them may want to. Yeah? I keep seeing some of your friends sometimes, and they always come and talk to me, are very sweet, and they say, they talk about you. Who knows, one day they may become like you. What is the topic? Relationship. Attention, comfort. So what, for example, give me a thought.
Sorry?
Give me an example thought. Like, what do you think about this?
Like, somebody does not give me attention, so I feel a bit upset
A
about
little
it.
louder, my dear.
If somebody does not give me attention, so I feel upset about it.
I see.
Or if nobody's giving importance to what I'm talking, so
Yeah.
am I foolish to
Just
talk?
like, she didn't get the joke. Huh? No, I was turning away to just pretend as if I'm not paying attention to what she's saying.
Sorry, I didn't get that.
So what do you get when you get attention?
I feel good.
It feels good.
I feel I'm important.
But I want to tell you that there is one who is waiting to shower all his attention on you. And that one is the king of the universe. He's sitting in your heart. And once you learn to let go of your mind and to be in his presence, you will see that the love that we are hoping to feel with someone's attention, that is in so much abundance in your heart. Your heart is full of this. You see, so much that if you distributed it to everyone that you ever came across, you would not run out. So instead of expecting it, try this for me, that instead of expecting it from things on the outside, you turn your attention to the inside. Find out who lives there. You see? Because actually our outer seeking of attention is just a lame replacement for this love that we need from the Atma within, from his presence in our heart. And in the entire human condition, we live with a hole in our heart. We feel constantly dissatisfied and unloved because we have not met this love. Once you learn this love, then you will be the giver of love and attention to all the brothers and sisters in this world, and you will not expect it from any of them because your heart is full, it is overflowing. So this is your project. Turn the need for external attention, make it a need to turn inwards and find the one who loves us within our hearts. It is the source of all love, all peace, all joy, all insight, all guidance, all rest. Everything we need is there. So this is my job, to just guide everyone to this meeting, this holy meeting within their hearts. You see now the sages are, the photos also you see, they're just sitting, just happy by themselves. You can see that their eyes may be open, but their attention is turned inwards. So, because that is the true source of every antidote, every solution to the human condition is found within yourself. So, if you can today, make this promise that for the next 2 years, you will try your best to turn inwards towards Him. And if in 2 years it doesn't work, then you come and have a fight with me. Yes? I feel like in 2 years your prayer, your devotion, your strength in the heart will stabilize. So this is beautiful to see that although the ultimate truth is instant, the insight, in a moment you recognize your true nature, but the process of disinvesting from Maya's temptations, of which expecting things from the world, including attention and love, is a very important trick up its sleeve. So give it some time. Just turn inwards, keep turning inwards. You will fail, you will get up again, you will fail, you will get up again. This process will happen till you start to stabilize so deeply that you will find that your true home is in your heart. There you find the loving presence of God, who is waiting to shower all His attention and love on you, on every child. You see, because we are His children. So try it my way. Anyone else had to share the topic, favorite topic? We are done with that topic.
Unconditional love possible.
Yes, only with God. Only with God. Only if it is coming from God or it is going to God. So as we are meeting God, then your heart will be filled with unconditional love. As you learn how to love Him actively, unconditionally, then your treasure chest of love will get fuller and fuller. You will never demand it or expect it from the world. How can the world give it to you anyway? Suppose Shiv comes and gives me love, but the love that I will feel as a result of that has to come from within only. So although that may serve as a catalyst and create some openness here to accept the love, I am only receiving love from God's presence always. He is only receiving love from God's presence always. To expect it from worldly objects or things which are appearances actually is a great trick of Maya. And hopefully that solves the in-law issue. You see are you starting to see the tricks? That it says you must get attention. What are you getting attention from? A bunch of mud. You see? The body is going to become mud. Comes from mud, is going to become mud. If that gives you attention, what's the big deal in that? See? So these are just the tricks of Maya to tell you that these things are important. The one where you need to pay attention to and where all love will come from is within yourself. You see? Don't expect things from these mud buckets.
You're expecting attention from the body.
You are, no? You are. So if you ask the child, or if you ask even yourself, so if for 3 satsangs I don't look at you, then this mud bucket only, no, didn't look at you. Then
No.
which
It's not the body. I mean, it's the being.
is the
in
being?
That body. I mean, it's not even the mind. If I take it to be this person.
How you know you're getting attention?
Because okay, somebody may look at you, right? You connect with you in some
Correct.
way.
So all the actions of the mud bucket only.
Isn't?
Tell
The
me
mud
one.
bucket is ruled by this one in the head. You know? Yeah, that is
Spirituality, mind is also mud.
Huh?
Yes.
Spirituality is that mind is also punching.
Yes.
Certain form of punching.
It is. Okay. To that extent, it's fine. But not like this much.
She's also Vedanta student.
Yeah.
So both of you can meet up after this. Mud meeting. As long as it doesn't become punching bhuta, then you're okay. Panchu bhuta is okay. As long as it doesn't lead to any punching
The
happening.
Buddha will be there. Satsang is so funny, Father. Satsang is so
You didn't have to buy tickets also.
Strange thing happening in life is
The strange thing
Oh, that's
happening.
why the hall is half empty. Is there a match today? Yeah? All the boys are missing, is it? The lot of the boys. Is there a Bangalore match? Oh.
No, the strange thing, what I see is when you are a child kid or when we got married, various events are taking place in life. So when we got married, when we say that he's your husband,
Yeah.
we play the role of a wife, we play the role of a mother when the child is born, and immediately we adjust to that. But all the masters are coming and saying, you are Brahman, and we don't want to act accordingly. This we took in seconds, we were able,
They don't want
able to
you to
adapt that
act.
role. But Brahman's role, being in Brahman and playing the role,
Ah,
that is not happening.
ah.
Why only this is a very big...
The levels are completely incomparable. You see, the levels of which we are talking about are completely incomparable. So you come to the insight that you are Brahman. You see? But that insight cannot be applied to this body being Brahman. Isn't it? So then, as the Nirguna Brahman, you see, you are the witness of the birth of the Saguna. Within the Saguna, all this play of light and sound appears. Within that one object and its sensations is appearing. That is this one. You see, from the perspective of Nirguna Brahman, this body is just another appearance which is moving in the light of consciousness just like everything else. You see, then there is no concept of doership or how should I behave or what should I do, because you're completely empty to all of that. Then you live in that recognition of what you are truly, you see, that is the first part of what I'm saying. So when we are empty conceptually, only then do we live in the intuitive insight of what we truly are. And when we are empty conceptually, then there is no concept of either doership or experiencership. कि मैं कर रहा हूँ कि और मैं भोग रहा हूँ, though either of those are not there. So if that is your insight that you are Brahman, then there is no room for how is the role to be played. The role is to be played just like the sun rises and sets, the plant grows, the flower blooms. There is no individual doership there. See? Now, having said that, it's important to say that anyone and everyone who has come to the true insight of their nature as pure awareness itself, Nirguna Brahman, you see, have also admitted that in the compelling nature of Maya, nobody lets go of their identity 100%. You see, nobody, not even the greatest sages, they will say that one tanmatra of ego still remains. You see? And they will say it is so that I don't walk into the ocean, you see, and so because I still want to preserve this body, all of that, they will give whatever reasoning for it. But the fact is that you must admit that Maya is compelling enough that you may have the highest insight, but the tinge of individuality, the flavor of the slightest individuality does not go. So with that aspect of me that remains in spite of having the highest insight, you see, what to do with that is to make that a servant of God's will. You see? If you can remain that me that remains after seeing that I don't exist in that way, I am Brahman itself, you see? But that identity which comes then must identify only as the follower of the will of God. Hukum Rajai Chalna, Nanak Likhya Na, which means that Nanak Ji has told us that our only job is to follow his will. Who is he telling? He is not telling Brahman. He is telling that which remains. So on one end, I am the highest, from which even consciousness, which is the light of the universe, emerges. And on the other end, that which I identify with still has to be just a mere servant of God. How to be a good servant of God? You can't be a good servant of God unless you meet him. Yeah? Somebody says, okay, now you have to serve that one. You see? And you say, I'm serving that one well. And someone says, have you met that one? You say, no, I haven't met that one. You see, then how are we serving that well? Then we are serving the presumptions of what he would want. You see? Which is what most of the world tries to do in moralistic and ethical ways. That God would want us to tell the truth, so we are telling. God would want us to do this, so we are doing. But when a conundrum comes in front of us, like the Arjuna conundrum comes in front of us, then we need God to tell us directly what is right for us in that moment. You see? And for that, a meeting with God is needed in our heart. You see? So I am telling you that to be a servant of God, we must come to his presence, and his presence is called the Atma within. You see? This Atma will guide us, will move us, and will tell us how we need to move every step of the way. And as we learn to follow the guidance of the Atma, then you will notice that your insight that you are Brahman also deepens, and the identity also keeps thinning out more and more. Every other mental guidance that we follow, our identity increases. You see? But you follow the guidance of the Atma within, your identity reduces. So that then becomes a beautiful process where both ends of this, the servitude to God deepens our recognition of our highest nature, and the recognition of our highest nature deepens our servitude to God. So it's beautiful this way.
The will of God, in the present moment, whatever is happening, that can be considered as a will of God, like
If we don't have
we don't have to think about it.
If we don't have direct access to him, See? Then we can presume that whatever is moving in the world right now is the will of God. Like it is said, not a blade of grass moves unless it is the will of God. See? But true spirituality is to be able to meet Him directly, to meet Spirit. Spirit means His presence, His light, His Atma within us. You see? So, Nanak ji did not say, Hukum Rajai Chalna Nanak Likya Naal. But by the way, everything that is happening is His Hukum anyway. You see? So therefore, I am giving you a meaningless instruction. He didn't say that. No? What is the point of saying that and then saying, but de facto it is that way only. So no point. You see? So he is saying that we must deepen in our love for Him. We must deepen in our faith with Him, that we can meet His presence, and then our life becomes just in servitude truly to Him. You see? Otherwise, Arjuna could have also said, oh, it is your will that I kept the bow down. You see, I am not fighting. Whereas God is telling him, you must fight. You see? So, provisionally, for those who are at the surface of spirituality, that acceptance helps first to accept that everything happens by the will of God. As they deepen in that acceptance, they will realize that their lives can be used as deeper instruments of God, you see, by becoming servants of His will, which is expressly being conveyed to them. You see, you have a sense of what I'm saying? Like when you come to His presence, allow His presence only to move you. You see? When you're faced with the conflict, when you're faced with the doubt, allow the guidance only to come from Him. You see? And if you put your trust only in Him, He will find a way to communicate with you. Because our ears are not tuned yet to hearing the Atma's guidance. You see? But if you rely only on Him, only on God, then you will get the answer in one way or the other. You see? But He's going to test two things, as is usually seen in the world. He's going to test your patience and He's going to test your courage. Because sometimes to wait for His guidance, it seems like the whole world is pressurizing you. The whole world is after you. Then you need courage to say, no, I don't know the answer, I'm waiting for God's guidance. And this needs both patience and courage. And that needs very strong faith, that you truly have faith in God that He will answer your prayer, He will answer your call, and our faith is tested.
In what manner do you hear the voice in our voice? How is it? If you are deeper into words?
Yes. Sometimes, I don't know if you had interactions like this, but they may start happening like this. Somebody may come and ask you something about Satsang or about Bhagwan or about self-realization or about something like that. And an answer may come from a different place from where it usually comes from. You may notice that your mouth started speaking from your heart, and you'll wonder to yourself, where did that come from? It was quite beautiful actually. So the heart guidance may start appearing in your life in this way, and then as you get used to it, you can tell that there's a holy voice which is speaking with you, full of love and full of a presence of peace, which is exactly the opposite of how the mind speaks to you. So as you deepen in your love for God, you will start to follow His voice as well.
So I would like to share one experience to understand how the mechanism of it. Like a very simple, trivial thing. We wanted to buy a car. So this sankalpa is, we are taking it, no? I am taking that I have to buy a car. Now once I have the sankalpa, then pros and cons of various types of cars within the budget, what it is, which is the best one, all that process starts taking place. and we landed up with one also.
Yeah.
This is the best among the whole lot, which is fitting in into our budget and all.
Yeah.
Then what happens one fine day, we have almost given the advance also, and then we are going to book it.
Yeah.
Then what has happened is, he goes simply to charge the vehicle, other car, and he finds some balloons and all, some inauguration taking place. He casually goes in, peeks in and sees. Then he finds some new model is being advertised there, and they are saying, and it is also within our budget.
Yeah.
And we drop everything and we get it.
Yeah.
So this is, that has to come to us, this is God's will. Like this process also took place, in which our mind was involved, the pros, cons, which is good, which is not. So two things are here. One is, instead of taking my sankalpa, we will not move in the direction only. I have to buy a car. This sankalpa has to come. Then only we have looked into that direction. Second thing is, what happened is, not at all whatever we planned from 15 days, whatever I worked, I did, it's all gone to the drain.
Correct.
We landed up with something in the spot, in a moment, and it got finalized.
Yeah.
And we brought it also. So that is according to God's will happened, we can say, because it is not, we have not planned it to do. So how is the mechanism functions? Like whenever we take sankalpa and the mechanism which is there, is all God's will, the whole process is a God's will. We can see the last part of it as a God's will, because there was no doership in that. We didn't do anything about it.
So, okay, let's examine the mechanics of it. You said, I took a sankalpa. Huh? How did you start taking the sankalpa? What was the first step?
First step is, our car is old and it's going to be.
Okay, so your car became old. That you didn't do, it became old. Then what did you do to take the sankalpa?
So we said, now we have to get another one.
Okay, now this part, because we are really getting into the mechanics.
Yeah.
So, you just said, is it, or a thought came first to someone, to one of you? The car is becoming old.
The thought came.
The thought came. So, who created that thought? कैसे बनाएगा thought? Try to create your next thought yourself. It comes, no?
It comes.
It just comes. We don't know how to, what is the raw material of thought, how to make it. You see? We just feel like we are making the thought. Actually, it just arises. Where does it arise from?
Okay.
From consciousness itself, like everything else. You see, the thought arose from consciousness. Then what happened in the mechanics? If no attention had gone to the thought, it wouldn't have become a sankalpa.
Yes.
It just came and went, like thousands of thoughts come. You see? But attention went to it.
And we gave some value.
And you gave belief, which is value, isn't it? You gave it value. So that is the mechanics of sankalpa. Now, what I am saying is, let the thought come, attention will also go. If you try to control attention, it seems too difficult. You see, attention also goes. You don't give belief to any thought, any vishaya, any sankalpa. Don't give belief. Don't value any thought. Yes. So learn, that is called being empty. So let it come, let it go. In this way, you may or may not realize it. This is to free yourself from avidya. You see? Because in the topic of even the car, you are taking yourself to be what? Even when you're discussing the topic of the car, you are taking yourself to be this person, this body mind, isn't it? So that is ignorance, isn't it? That is the very definition of avidya. So don't do that. Remain empty. Then the mind will come and say, aise to nothing will happen. You will become a vegetable. You see, people will think you are stupid, you are dumb, you see, all that. That needs patience and courage to be empty like that. Be empty like that. Then you will find that you come in the presence of the Atma within. When you learn to be empty, then you can stay with His presence within ourselves, whether you call it Holy Spirit or Atma or the Sadguru presence, whatever you call it. Now you allow that one initially it may feel like you're not hearing him, he is not speaking to you. See? But you surrender and say, if anything has to move, then you move this mouth, you move these hands, you move these feet.
That is before Sankalpa, isn't it?
Yeah, you
What you're
allowed
saying,
all these thought
that is-
patterns to come and go. You are not buying into any idea about anything.
Okay.
You are remaining empty. Then your only intention you're carrying is that you move me, God, you move me, Atma within. See? So then you will notice that without this thought activity also, action happens. First you may be astounded by it because you said, oh, but without the sankalpa I could not buy that car or do. But you will start noticing that just like plants are growing and flowers are forming and birds are flying, you see, they don't take sankalpas, we'll fly to the north or we'll go this way. They fly through the intelligence of God's presence. In the same way, your life will start moving. You see, unperturbed by what your mind is saying, you're moving now in the light of the presence. You see? Now, this supreme intelligence called God may test us initially. You see? Because we are expecting full solution, our life is solved. This sounds very simple.
Yes, yes.
You see? But the fact is that He will test your faith and love for Him to make sure that you're not doing it just out of convenience. You see? That you truly love Him. And your surrender is not just so that you don't have to take the trouble anymore. You see? And you may not move for a few days, weeks, but you have to trust Him. And that needs faith. You see? Car is getting older, no action is moving, so all this thing happens. Huh? So like that. Then, but you learn how to move only in His will, only He moves you. So you try it out. One day, say, I will not follow my mind's temptations about anything, I will let them go. And I will move only when I feel the presence is moving my hands or moving my mouth to say things or moving my feet. Tell me what happens that day. Because the mind will scare you and say, then you will just sit in bed all day. But most have noticed that that doesn't happen. So you have to experiment and see. Once you experiment and see, then you will find that there's a greater intelligence in our mind that is running this universe, including my life. Then we start moving closer and closer to God's presence. Because we have let go of the selfishness of the me. The mind is always offering us mechanics about how to make this me better, how to make my life better, all this me. So to be free from this me, we have to let go of this mind. Because all the sages have told us that the lane is too narrow. जब मैं था तो वो नहीं था, जब वो था तो मैं नहीं था. When there is me, there cannot be God. When there is God, there cannot be me. So that is how our spirituality moves into practice. Otherwise, it remains a conceptual spirituality because we are not relying on Atma, spirit, for anything. We are just learning things about it. We are just learning things about it, but we have not truly learned how to start becoming spiritual. It is to allow spirit to guide, spirit to move. You see, we are still being egoic, mental without realizing it. Then our life gets transformed in that way. Still have 2 years. Now, yeah. Still have 2 years. Because I've been saying it takes 2 years. Because usually what I've seen is that my invitation to start praying, to deepening in our love for God, all of that is often met with frustration very quickly. Within a week, 2 weeks, people are just like, but it's not working, he's not coming, I don't feel guided, you see, I'm not being able to pray. And this is symptomatic of the fast food generation that we live in. I just feel like we're so used to ordering that, oh, you need any kind of food, within 30 minutes it can come on the app. You see, so we feel like, oh, we should just say Ram, Ram, Ram 3 times and God should come. And it may happen, you see, but it may not happen. It's all, He knows best. You see, that He's always here, but when His presence can be tasted with the light, with the love, with the sweetness that we are expecting, we can't force His hand. You see? So it also, in the process, will also squeeze our arrogance out of us, squeeze our spiritual pride out of us. You see? And that is a beautiful squeezing, because if it happened too quickly, it's very possible that we become Ravan-like very soon. We become very proud very soon. So although the insights may happen instantaneously, will happen instantaneously, they can happen only now. But when we look at the stream called life, it seems like we need a lot of patience, we need a lot of faith. Right. Is it? So one thing is coming to say before that is that that's why I say that spirituality is not the inclusion of a new topic in our mind. You see, that I now understand the spiritual topic, I've read this book, I've read all the Upanishads, I've read the commentaries by Shankara, I've done all of this. You see, it is not that. It is a changeover of the operating system itself, from head to heart. You see? So unless that changeover starts happening, we've only started venturing into the spiritual journey. We've not really started. We start only when we learn to follow our heart, we learn to meet the Holy Spirit within ourselves. Without Spirit, no spirituality, no. It's only a duality. Tough crowd today.
The understanding that it is academic is only academic, not practical is like Master said that the planets are revolving, is on its own, कौन चला रहा है, हमारे अंदर digestion is happening, blood circulation is happening, कौन कर रहा है, हाँ वो सब इंटर नहीं कर रहे, only God is doing. But whether to come to satsang or not.
Sorry, one point on this is that we see that there is no agency here, no volition here, no choice making here that is doing these things. You see? So then we say, Acha, I am not doing it. You see? Then the rest of it we make a presumption. Then it must be God doing it. You see? So then it must be the intellectual process, isn't it? It's a process of reasoning. It is not a process of insight. You see? So when we come to the process of insight, then you know in your heart that it is God who is doing it. You are not inferring through a process of negation. Because I am not doing it, I need to give the power to somebody higher. So my idea of that higher power is God. So then we are just speculating. You see? So because then you can't. Other people may say, no, it's some alien living in some other planet. Another may say, but this is just a dream that we are having. Another may say that actually all of this is just AI, it's a video game. And we can't negate any of that because we don't know. But when you come into your heart guidance, you see, that tells you that it is God's presence, it is God's light. You see, that you can trust. You see? And using that Shruti, what sages heard from their heart in their deep contemplations, you see, then the Vedas were written, all the greatest scriptures were written. You see, in the same process, the Bible was written, If you look up the history of it, the scribes had one job, which is to follow what God was telling them in their heart while they were scribing the Bible. This is very well known about the Vedas. And in those Vedas, they wrote about things which were so far ahead of their time. So what intelligence did they access? Then this is God's intelligence, God's guidance. So we must learn to allow ourselves to become heartfelt, intuitive, moment to moment rely on His presence within ourselves, and all guidance, all love, all peace will come from there. That is the journey of spirituality.
I'm feeling some weird sensations in my body, and it's being labeled as weakness, and I need to eat.
Okay, but do you?
I don't know what you're telling me.
Because we have a sense about these things. It's like if we relied on the intellect, we would not know. Is it? Like when this body fell sick, like 2 weeks back, was it? So I just started feeling like there's something like a deeper infection than a usual cold or a usual, sometimes you get these allergies. So somewhere you know, no? And this body, the sensations have been so intimately felt by us for so long that you get a sense about these things. So from your heart, you can also get a sense about what it is. You see, whether some food is needed or some rest is needed or it's fine. You see, you can rely on that. So how does that translate? Before we can hear the Shruti, as we were saying, is that we just we remain in the heart and allow that to eat or not eat, allow that to unfold.
I just wait
Yeah.
patiently.
But what you see, sometimes what can happen is that we get into like a mental sort of, not that you're doing that, I'm just saying that this is a trick to watch out for. The mind will say, no, I have to wait. You see? So then that becomes a mental position. So we have to be empty even of that. You see? Otherwise it'll make you into this. It's like that story, very religious man. He was boating one day. I don't know, most of you may have heard this story. He was boating one day, and then the storm came and he fell in the ocean. Right? So then what he said is that I have prayed to God all my life. God has to come and save me. Huh? So another boatman came first. He said, come brother, I'll save you. He said, no, God himself will come and save me, you go. You see, the boatman came, ship came, coast guard came, helicopter came, plane came. He said, no, God has to come and save me, and this man drowned. On drowning, he was very upset. You see, he's like, when I meet God, I'm going to throw a tantrum. So he threw a tantrum and said, I prayed to you all my life. You didn't come. You see? So God said, first I came as the boatman, then I came in the ship, then I came in the coast guard, then I came in the helicopter, but you wanted it the way that you wanted it. You see? So and that's why you could not see me in them. You see? So we must be careful of not making a new position out of it. I've already determined how God's movement will happen through me, how God's voice will sound to me, and in that we may miss it as it is unfolding. So allow yourself not to make any of these positions. Like, remind yourself of the innocence of a child. That is the safest place.
Like this unceasing prayer is not, it's not the same as innocence of a child. Like
it is very much the same. To pray unceasingly, if you carry any position, it's not possible.
even that position, pray unceasingly is a position.
Well, in a way, so once you let go of all other positions, if this is the last one left, then we must leave that.
It's good to hold on.
Huh?
been
if
told.
there are other positions that are, you see, that's where Guruji says, don't shoot the sheepdog. Or am I mixing it up?
So this boatman analogy, if if the position is to play unceasingly, the boat coming is this sensation, other boatman.
No. You pray unceasingly. It's okay. Forget it. How does one pray unceasingly? Is it possible? So if your prayer means that you're saying the ADS prayer, so if you're some of you using the Jesus prayer, which is so beautiful, so you may say, Lord Jesus Christ, Son of God, have mercy on me, a sinner, bless my heart with the light of Spirit. Now you may be saying it with your breath, you may be saying it using a mala, you may be saying it using your lips, you may be saying it in the mind. It may have deepened so much that your heart has started saying it. And it may have deepened so much that it has become a inaudible prayer now, but just drenched in the presence of love so much. You know that your heart is praying, but you're so much in His presence in your heart temple that you recognize the prayer is going on. But the words of don't rush into this, okay? As I'm saying it, I'm recognizing it's possible for the mind to become arrogant and rush into it. But you know only in your heart. So that form of prayer, when we get established in, then that is when it becomes an unceasing prayer. Because in the world there will always come something, your doorbell will ring, and in that moment you may forget to pray. So it's not yet unceasing. You see? So we are all moving towards that unceasing prayer, which becomes a deeply beyond ajapa japa. You see? So first we have to go through all these beautiful, it doesn't have to move in a linear way, but most of us will go through all this where your heart will just start praying on itself. So it's very almost unceasing now, but even then it may not be 100% unceasing. When you're fully established in your heart temple and His darshan is always palpable to you, His unperceivable shining light is in your inner eye all the time, then our prayer becomes unceasing. And then for His joy, ajapa happens, outer prayer happens, because it is so joyful at all the layers. See, so that which seems so full of resistance and mechanical and difficult, and you see, why do we have to do this, and can't we just be open and empty and all that, then becomes the greatest joy in our life. You see, there will come a time soon, and it may not be even as long as 2 years, where if I come to you in satsang and say, okay, now you stop praying, you will say, no, I love it so much. What are you saying? It's so, you see? So this union in the heart is the sweetest way to live, way to be, beyond anything that I can say in words. So this simple sounding practice, which is giving so much resistance to so many of you, but it's reducing, you will see will lead to your union with the divine within yourself. One thing that is coming to say is that remember that prayer is more about listening than about saying. Make yourself available to Him more as a listener than the speaker of the prayer. The speaking brings you to His light, but your job is to stand in His light and to listen to Him. So first you recognize that the words of your prayer make you feel that you're coming into His light, and the words will go on, but it's not just a monologue. See, it'll seem like I'm saying, have mercy on me, bless me with the light of spirit, you see, and it's just about me saying that, but you realize it's not. Those words are just the catalysts for the communion to happen, you see. And really what is happening is that the words become just like the murmurs, and actually what you're doing is you're standing in His light and you're listening to Him. Now you're not listening necessarily to His words yet, but you're listening to His presence. So when we are in His presence, we are actually listening to His presence. See, how to listen to His presence? Just by making ourselves fully available, by being open. So the Atma will, the Holy Spirit will guide us on all of these things. You see, it's a beautiful exploration. It's a beautiful adventure leading to such a holy communion and the union with Him. But the process of prayer is not one-sided communication. So don't worry, we'll deepen in all of this understanding as we go along. Most of it can't really be spoken. And maybe most of it should not be spoken because it will take away the joy of our journey. So the speaking must be just to remove the mental obstacles from the path, because I want you all to taste these things for yourselves, to come to these insights, to come to the sweetness. Actually, also nothing that I can speak can block that from happening. You see, the sweetness will not go away because you heard it somewhere. So then, when we are so drenched in our heart and we cannot tell which is me and which is Him, and that becomes our resting place as much as His resting place, then our prayer truly becomes unceasing. One sage said, initially it will seem like you're taking bitter medicine. You see? But this bitter medicine will become sweeter and sweeter and sweeter and sweeter. And once you start tasting that sweetness, follow the fragrance of that presence, then you will never want to leave it. So that initial starting momentum is what I'm providing, that initial thrust. But stay with it even if it feels difficult, if it feels mechanical. Yes.
Father, you keep saying that the heart loves to pray.
Yes. Nahi to ajapa japa would not happen. If our heart did not love to pray, then Our mind doesn't love to pray, that's for sure, right? You see? So there comes a point where clearly you will tell that the prayer is going on. There's like a echo chamber within yourself. Starting from the heart, it's percolating through everything, arising from there. I'm so excited for our journey together like this, because all of you will unfold in these ways, and you will discover your own intricacies and beauty in the process. But since it's a very transformative work, the mind is bound to be fearful and resistive for some time. So that's why don't check on progress for 2 years. See? Don't say, but Father said heart will do it, so you're expecting next week the heart will do it. You see, then Father says you'll have union with the divine, then next week after that union with the divine, why isn't it? You see, it's not like that. You see? You must not rush into it, because our pride wants to get involved very fast. We don't realize it. You see? We want to say, हम किसी से कम नहीं, so we also want to get into that, but that's a disservice to yourself. It's a disservice to yourself, because this is the journey that if you ended up directly at the destination, you would say, oh, I missed out at such a beautiful journey. So you just enjoy the sweetness, enjoy even for now maybe the resistances, and you deepen more and more and more.
So one day I remembered this, Father, what you said, in that, your heart loves to pray.
Yeah.
And I was doing the ADS prayer, and I went to sleep. It was so true, Father. It was so sweet, the prayer. And I could feel it even in my sleep, Father. As soon as I woke up, I could just feel that the heart is just praying, just so
Yes,
much
exactly.
sweetness and
Exactly. Most of you will start to notice that your prayer automatically becomes your first thing when you wake up. You see, when it starts to really deepen, then that's already such a relief. Because what was the way of the past? The mind bombards you with thoughts and worries and anxieties and things to be done and accomplish in the world, and that gets replaced. You start with the prayer. It stays with you. So how does it deepen like that? More and more you will find that if you end with that, you see, if your prayer is the last thing before deep sleep comes, then it doesn't end even in sleep state, and then you feel like you can't tell when you were in deep sleep, when you were in God's presence, when you were in the waking state. So all this starts to merge as one prayer itself. Like okay. So I'll say in some time. The message.
Father, it's almost 1 year that you gave us the ADS.
Has it been a year?
May is what I remember.
Yes? Wow. It seemed like 3 months or something. I keep saying it's only been a few weeks. It's been almost a year.
Almost, not exactly, but almost.
Doesn't seem like it.
Yeah.
You must have checked, of course.
I have written it down and shared with someone else, and that's in June 8th.
Yes.
Yeah.
It is after Thiru last year. We went.
I just keep saying it's just been a few weeks we started, just been a few weeks. Can't be, yeah? I know that you're factually right, but it just doesn't seem like that. Okay, so 2 years from this point, okay?
Although I think that though I'm understanding, when we start off all of the place,
Yeah.
to try to pray ultimately with research.
Oh, it's been quite some time. Wow. How many of you feel like it's been last May?
It's true though.
It's true what he's saying is fact, but how does it feel to all?
Only now you started praying. Not from before. I don't know what we were doing before.
But actually, now that you say it, even the texture of how we speak about it now, the texture of how all of you are meeting it, is vastly different from how it just started. So, yes, it may have taken that much time. But it is a bit of a surprise. Because somebody said the other day 3 months. And I said, 3 months? No, it feels like just a few weeks. But apparently it's much more, almost a year.
In the initial weeks, I remember it was more about like to be obedient. I mean, like, you were just trying to show us that who were we actually being obedient.
It all came in this synchronized symphonic way.
We discussed the word. We discussed the word sin for 6 months.
Oh yeah, 6 months? Oh, wow. I felt like 2-3 weeks we were... 6 months? Anandmay Ma's videos helped, yes, that's true. Yeah. So then the mother came to help me because all of you were like, what does this guy really know? Then I got some help from higher authorities. Oh, Ma said, okay. Photo came. So this is Grace helping this boy also. Hanuman Podarji is there. See, this is how Atma works. He sends all the assistants when needed. So God knew that nobody's going to listen to this foolish man. So let's make some YouTubes of Anandmay Ma. See, it's very helpful here also because to get reassurance from these great sages, like I have been telling all of you that my heart loves to pray, your heart loves to pray. And that day we heard some very famous Christian father say, your heart loves to pray. So I quickly sent it to everyone. I was not just making it up, okay? They have said it helps, because our mind can make resistances. No? So the more credible sources you can hear it from, the more helpful it will seem. And it also, I have to say, helps me keep on the right track. In the sense that it's reassuring to me also because I said this and I'd never heard anyone say that. But when I heard it from this sage, then it was very reassuring that I'm leading you kids in the right way. Yes. I think that was the main point.
No, there's a confusion about that part.
Achha.
Initially,
Is the heart loving to pray?
with the ADS and so initially when ADS came, I did not know which prayer to pick because I didn't really
Resonate
with any particular form of God. Then I thought with my past experience with Isha, I will start with Shiva. I did that for some time, then I switched to Jesus. Later, I stick with you. Again, after maybe a few months, again I switched to Krishna. But I still continue. When I switched to Krishna, kind of too much of switching.
No.
So I was like, I wanted something to have a little more connection.
Achha.
So I picked up a chant that we used to have in my childhood,
Okay.
which is a 4-liner, Krishna Krishna Govinda Janardana.
Good.
So what happened in that process is it kind of stayed.
Okay,
So
good.
it started happening.
Good.
And now it happens and I stop it and edit. There's a competition now. So whenever
No,
it goes
use
on, I
that.
like, okay, hold
Use
on.
that. Whatever is taking deeper hold. I was saying the other day that you can use a favorite verse from your favorite scripture. You can use, the point is to turn to him. The method is not that important. It's only important in the sense that if something is taking hold now, you see, initially we all will experiment a bit. We will say, should I try this? Should I try that? For some, it has always been clear. For others, we have been experimenting a little bit like that. You see, once we find that something is taking hold, you see, that means the roots are forming. You see? Now, once roots are forming, then don't fall for the mental resistance and things. Then allow them to grow, to deepen more and more. You don't want to keep uprooting the plant. You see, it has to now become a tree. So if you feel like you used a prayer and it has the word Krishna in it, it is good enough. You don't even need to worry about it because Krishna is present in that prayer. And if you find that you've been resonating with it and it was happening, it's starting to happen automatically, then at this point I would not say, unless there's a strong feeling, I would not say uproot this one and change again.
A few weeks back, you mentioned that out of the page, pick the most difficult one.
No, not in that way. Okay, so now that you have your prayer, you will see that the long prayer, if it's like 3-4 lines, you will notice that when you're at work and in the meeting and things like that, you are not able to do the whole thing. You see, because still needs some focus, although it may start to become a japa. You see, because that focus is not present, then we end up leaving the whole thing. You see, so for that, at least in the ADS ones, we have the arrow prayer, we have Ram, 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 or Krishna, 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 Krishna. So that seems easier. So even when your boss is talking to you at work, you internally are going Ram, 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 Ram. You see, you don't have to let him know. So you see, but you're focused on Ram within. Then sometimes it could even be more where you have to speak, see? Where you are saying something and all that. So then it feels like there is no attention for this process, no focus for this process to happen. Then you just place yourself in your heart, feel his presence, feel his this thing. So let that Ram happen once, see? And then you're just in your heart, and then the meeting is happening, you're speaking, speaking, speaking. Then you get a bit of a break, let the Ram happen again. See? So in that way. See? Now what was happening is that there was a tendency from the mind to pick, like I've said, even that is prayer. It is beautiful prayer that even in the midst of all of this, you're remembering Ram once, twice, 3 times. You see? But then that the mind uses to say, okay, now I'm just watching some TV or some movie, which I'm not really into also, but I just say Ram like that once every 5 minutes, and so then that is oversimplifying it. You see, because that is the time where you could give it your full, you see, the full long prayer. So that's what I meant, that don't make it too simple in that way. So for example, if you're chanting some verses to Krishna, but you're in situations where you're doing some engaged work on the computer or in a meeting, then you can say Krishna, 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 a shorter version. And even if there's no room for that, then just Krishna. In that way. But if you're just not involved in something which is that compelling, that much focus or attention, and you're just Krishna, then it's not really praying. Then that's just tick in the box, as we call it in the corporate world. This is Naam ke liye we are doing prayer. But we're not really committing what we have fully to offer. You see, because in those situations, your manager is speaking to you, you're responding about some data, some work, and things like that, then the best you can offer at that time is to say Krishna once every 5 minutes, probably, you see, or every 1 minute or every 5 minutes. But in the situation where it's some, you see, activity happening which doesn't really need so much of your attention, and then you're just being very half-hearted about it, then that is not. That's why I said pick the one that is the most difficult but not impossible. If it becomes impossible, then no prayer is happening. You see? So based on, and you in your experimenting, you will see. Then you will see that that which seemed most difficult but not impossible gets simpler and simpler. You see? Because as you're saying, it takes on a life of its own. No? You see? So it's just going on, going on, going on. You see? So it becomes easier and easier and more natural and more natural.
Can I chant it one for you?
Huh?
Can I
Of course, please.
So it's like Krishna Krishna Mukunda Janadana,
Louder.
Krishna Krishna Mukunda Janadana, Krishna Govinda Narayana Hare, Acchidananda Govinda Madhava, Sachidananda Narayana Hare.
Very good. Very good. Good. It's good to clarify these things. I'm very glad you did.
So, Father, on the power of the prayer and japa, so in a couple of saints, they experience like Yogi Ji and his guru Ramdas Ji, they chanted endlessly for a period. I believe for Yogi Ji, he chanted day and night for a week. And it was a mantra that Ramdas Ji had given him. And after many years of trial through Atma-Vichar and, with many gurus, that was the key that unlocked full realization for him. So is that something you would, would you, we're all doing it, but would you say that that's what, something that we should do endlessly, try to do all the time? All the time, day and night?
Yeah.
That really take it to another level? Okay. It's just,
Yes, I've been saying that.
just all the time.
All the time.
Endlessly.
That's what I've been saying.
But we, heard from another.
You see, so he said that are you trying to be open all the time, empty all the time, or praying all the time? These are the only two options. That's what I've been saying.
Yeah.
Both will lead to the same. Both will lead to the same. But you may start to find that the path of prayer actually most may start to find much simpler.
After the EDS yesterday, one mala of it. So actually the pain started from the cervical, up the neck, here, and sinuses. Just reporting it to you. It's, I think, the layer breath. I'll continue without a layer. I can continue without a layer.
Yeah.
Thank you.
He'll take care of all of this also.
Thank you.
His presence in your heart is the one that is running this whole universe. Stay with it, with that faith, and all these things will come. Obstacles will come, many obstacles will come. but be heartfelt about how you're dealing with them also. He will guide you. So also that is important, because we must not become proud about how to deal with them. You see, in the sense that no, but I will do like this only, I will do like that only. He will guide you. We are becoming, all of us are becoming sensitive in our hearts. You see, all of us are so stuck earlier in our minds, wanting to be right, wanting to know. All of us are becoming more innocent and simple and open and listening. With that sensitivity, he will keep us on the right track. So, okay, if there's still some confusion about this, so what am I saying? Start your day with ADS, and if ADS is not appealing to you still after 9 months, then at least whatever you're doing, start your day with the presence of God. Okay? So, whichever practice, whichever process, anything that brings you to His presence, start your day with that. That is really important. It's really important. And I saw a video by Guruji also where he's saying the same thing in a different way, which is so beautiful to hear, that we must start. He's prescribed, you can do that, of course, 15 minutes and come to the presence of God. So, but whichever way, meet God first thing in your morning. Don't start engaging with things and people and phones and things like that till you can confirm God's presence is there. Then open all the time, empty all the time, praying all the time, and both may seem different for now. Go with whatever resonates with you the most. So, just pray all the time. How to pray all the time? I've told you that if there is something which is not so important in the realm of the world, which doesn't need so much focus and attention, do the long prayer. If something takes your focus and attention, but you still have some, do the arrow prayer at the end. If you're really involved in something, deeply involved, then attention is deeply into it, then that is also a form of prayer anyway. You see, but still remind yourself to say the name of God once every few minutes, every 2-3 minutes, every 5 minutes. You see, but when you're fully engaged in something, that's a prayerful practice anyway. You see? So that's like mindfulness happening anyway. Right? And if you're so deeply engaged in something, then just remain empty through it all, and in that emptiness you will find that your heart is full of love, His presence is palpable. So then you remain head empty, heart full through all of this, but especially when the words of the prayer, either in the form of conscious praying or it happening on its own, ajapa japa, are not apparent to you, then at least remain full-hearted as that activity is happening. Then the prayer will deepen and deepen from lips to mind to heart, and then such beautiful union will unfold for all of you. That becomes our unceasing prayer, effortless at some point of time. But initially it will seem like effort is needed. And that initially I'm saying don't check on progress for 2 years. So now the day routine is clear. We are putting God first, and God, like 99%. And if to be empty all the time, your temperament is just not devotional in that way, then just inquire. Spend your day in inquiry, find out really who you are. In the same way where, depending on how much focus and attention you have available, put that all into your inquiry. And although the way I presented it seemed like this is secondary, yeah, it's both are the same. Because either way you will not fall for ego, either way you will not fall for selfishness, for the mind, and your life will be transformed into the way of the heart. And initially you may experiment with it and try. One day try the inquiry, one day try the prayer. But once something starts taking root, like I was telling Praharsh earlier, if it starts to take root, then the mind will try to resist it also. Then you don't. You have a sense of it. You see, when something is deepening, and the way to check is it starts to happen almost automatically, then the mind really gets scared. You say, no, now you change back to Ram or change to you, then no, then stay with it. Stay with it. If you find yourself inquiring, looking into who you are naturally, then don't rush to change. If you find yourself praying a particular prayer naturally, then don't rush to change. It's starting to take root. And it's not so important, the specific words, as long as God is fully being remembered. Clear? So most of satsangs I want in the future to become just about what is stopping you, what is getting in your way. We've spoken enough about conceptual things and the mechanics of things and all of that. Now it is time to put our spirituality into practice, into it becoming a way of life. You see? Otherwise, very easily all of us can die just discussing spirituality. But if we don't live it, then we not really become spiritual. Yeah. So the question, if I missed it, ADS was 10-15 times repeating. So like 20 minutes, around 20 minutes to half an hour, whatever time that would take. So that is the morning thing to come to the presence of God. Okay? And then to remain in that, we can make it a continuous practice. So whatever you are following, whether it is inquiry, whether it is invitation, whether it is to remain empty as Guruji is guiding us, but that has to become constant. The path of remaining empty, the path of jnana, inquiry, the path of love, whichever you pick, become wholehearted and dedicate your entire day to that. Yeah. So this one. So this is from a text. Similarly, Brother Lawrence of the Resurrection, the 17th century Carmelite, lay brother and author. Okay, an author of the spiritual classic, the Practice of the Presence of God, exemplifies the transformative power of unceasing prayer and continual remembrance of God. In his Conversations and Letters, Brother Lawrence emphasizes the importance of maintaining a constant awareness of God's presence, even amid the most mundane tasks and occupations. He writes, "We must establish ourselves in a sense of God's presence by continually conversing with Him. It is a shameful thing to quit His conversation to think of trifles and fooleries." And what are trifles and fooleries? Everything. Except conversation with Him, except being with Him. You see, in relation to that, everything is trifle, everything is foolery. Do we have any free will? It feels like we don't. So, you in reality have all the free will. You, as this, when it seems like you're a mixture of your reality and personhood, you have the ability to turn to God, to let go of your mind. You have that much power. You see, so in your reality, you are the highest. So all intelligence, all doing, all will must be ascribed to you. In the spiritual path, we are going through the process of recognizing that we are this highest reality, but there is personhood still left in us. But in that process, we have the ability to change ourselves by turning to God instead of turning to the mind. And as a person, if purely you take yourself to be a person, this bundle of flesh and blood, then all idea of free will and agency is nonsense. So, if you just take yourself to be this body mind, then you're just a leaf which is moving by the breeze. God, everything is done by His will. If you see that you are consciousness, which is the light of all things, but you're also involved in personhood, then you have the power to turn towards God more and more, more and more. And then when you recognize that you are consciousness itself, all this belongs to you, all is your will. So it depends on what the perspective, what the standpoint of the question is. Love you all so much. Bless you all so much. Father, being open and empty, meaning letting go of every thought to come and go. Yes, to be conceptually empty. To just be open means to allow everything to come. To be empty means to not hold on to anything, not grasp onto anything, which by anything means these notions in the head. Bless you all.